Hello everyone and welcome back to Through Africa. I am your host, Mercy Bamgola. Today we bring you another very important topic, this time from Nigeria. The state of security in Nigeria has depleted over the years, and with the upcoming 2027 presidential elections, tensions keep rising on the outcome of the election and what it would be and how this would affect the state of security in the country. To discuss this, we bring in Josiah Obung Josiah, who is a policy analyst from Nigeria. Hello, Josiah. You're welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much, Mercy. Thank you. It's nice to be here.
You're welcome. And let's go straight into the discussion. How would you assess the current state of security in Nigeria? I mean, we keep seeing news daily, but how would you assess this situation?
All right, then. Thank you very much. I would like to start with a semantic analysis of the state of security. There's a place of violent conflict and non-violent conflict, but we are placing more emphasis here on violent conflict in Nigeria, and there are different dynamics of it. However, there is not just one specific cause of conflict, violent conflict in Nigeria. There are different reasons, and one reason may be a cause at an initial stage, and at a later stage it may change to something else. For example, farmer elder crisis, land dispute, communal crisis as well, among others, are issues, reasons, including electoral and election dynamics, are reasons for violent conflict in Nigeria. However, as I said earlier, that these things could move from one to another in the same dynamics, in the same community as it is when it comes to analyzing the dynamics of conflict in the country or security dynamics in the country. Let me also mention clearly that all of these things just shows that in the different regions of Nigeria, they also experience different levels of it and different types. It's not the same type of conflict, not the same dynamics of conflict that operates across all areas of Nigeria. They're different across different areas of Nigeria. So it's based on the region, it's based on the type, and also based on how they are, the level of them. It could be individual to state, it could be state to individual, among other dynamics like that as it is. Yes.
Just today, I was going through the news and I just realized that there's a very current news about 200 people have been killed in a particular area in Nigeria. And we know the election is very close. How do you think these security concerns would impact voters' turnout and public confidence in the upcoming election?
All right. The two main causes of conflict, based on my analysis, the two main of conflict are, one, misinformation and disinformation to one side, and to the other, resistance to law. The first, misinformation. Misinformation is the unintended intention to spread false information. So a person does not spread false information with the intention to harm, as misinformation. While disinformation is having the intention to spread false information to harm. So to one point, there's a place of information that is a very root cause to conflict. And to another front is the place of resistance to law, where people do not abide to laws. Now, bringing this down to the outlook of elections and the security dynamics in the country, I would say that it is quite a lot. With all those news and the likes, we've gotten reports and people saying, and reports and different dynamics saying that even these numbers are more than what they are being reported. But with regards to the elections, they have a place to show or to say that, do people really trust this system? Do they really trust the entire electoral process as it is, even from the passing of the bill down to the election day? This entire process, is it very well trusted? It just all shows to a very great front that, first of all, the people perceive the place of trust in institution, in government, and all to be a thing that the trust level is very, very, very low. in the entire process. So it tells the pace of security impacts election. In the last 2023 election, there was low turnout of people during the elections. And with the ongoing security dynamics in the country, there is a place that it may also impact this election as well. So in the 2027 election, it may really impact it. Also, the turnout may be low because in conflict-prone areas, precisely where there are high risks of conflict with different dynamics, intimidation, among other things, vote buying, vote selling, among others, and where also there's high level of security deployment, which could be for the place of countering every form of electoral malpractice, but may also make people feel intimidated, may also have people feel not secured. You're not really able to tell fully if I come out on election day and if my community have been signaled, have been tagged a high risk location, and I come and I see so many security agencies there, it may make a person go back and not come out to vote, or in some cases it may also allow people come out to vote. So there is no clear cut to it actually, but it's all just dependent on the people in those different communities. Yes.
Definitely. Now let's talk about the Independent National Electoral Commission, which is also popularly known as INEC, because we know that they're a very huge part of all of this. What role would you say they are playing in ensuring that elections can take place safely, particularly in high-risk areas like the northern part of Nigeria?
All right. Very good question. Earlier in February, the electoral chairman, Professor George, did mention that if people do not feel safe, then there won't be a credible election. So for INEC themselves to acknowledge this is a very good one as well. For them to acknowledge that if people do not feel safe in the country, then it also tells on the credibility of elections. So that is one thing that INEC has said, especially from the INEC chairman, that is very, very good, so that it tells us that they are also thinking about the safety of Nigerians as elections are drawing near. Also, the new bill that was passed, the electoral bill that was passed, 2026, coming the Electoral Act 2026, that also brought in more dynamics, more framework, structurally and institutionally as well, to ensure that the elections, the entire process, starting from the campaign dynamic down to the election day, go smoothly, are also very, very, very key. For example, the INEC, the IREF reports results live and the likes. These are good dynamics that that are actually going to go well in the country if we keep to it. If we actually keep to it as a people, down to the polling unit, because the presiding officers also have to be trained on these things, and they can also play their part to ensure that there is smooth electoral process, and also smooth as well transmission of results also, because one part that we do have so much and have great trouble with in Nigeria is when election results are being transmitted from the manual dynamics, the electoral transmission. But if with the new act, if electoral results are being transmitted and also the manual is used to verify that the same thing and their live transmission of results, it helps counter the part of issues, litigations after elections, and even at the polling units. But we hope that there are no network issues that day for the presidential election and all elements of elections. We just hope that there are no network issues, because it will be a great problem if we at the polling unit can see network on our phones, but on the VVAT machine, among other devices that will be used by the officials of the elections, if they do not have network on their own system, on their own devices, it will be a problem. So INEC is looking forward very well to ensure that on all dynamics, on all sides, they are able to have electoral results being transmitted on the spot from the polling unit, as well as verifying them as well with the manual result that will be also sent down to their offices. So all of these things are dynamics put up by INEC. And let me not also forget as well the part of security agencies. There is a need for inter-agency collaboration in Nigeria in all of these things, so that people feel safe. That part of people feeling safe, it's very, very, very key. It's very, very key because there is so much distrust in Nigerian electoral system. People do not trust the Nigerian electoral system. But with this new bill has become an act right now, we really hope the Electoral Act 2026 for Nigeria, we really hope that, that all of the things that have been passed and said are being enacted, being followed, have been implemented appropriately to have Nigerians trust our electoral system again, as we used to before that now. Yes.
Definitely. You just answered some parts of my next questions. We'll be talking about, security agencies. You've explained what needs to be done on their part. Now let's move to political leaders. We know they're also a key part of all of this. What measures do you think they can take to prevent election-related unrest in the upcoming election?
All right. They have very key part to play. Just as I mentioned earlier, misinformation and disinformation are tools used during elections to bring distrust, to bring what they call mayhap in the community among people. Political leaders should stop using this mechanism. It is not a do or die affair. It is not something that if you don't get into office, that's the end of your life as a person. It's to serve the people. So they should stop using misinformation, disinformation, especially in communities with history of this kind of conflict. They are conflict prone. They should stop engaging these tools in these communities, even among people. You just hear about things on social media precisely, and they're not verified. So political leaders should even stop spreading unverified information, talking up narratives that are not. If you also want to look down to the part of social cohesion with regards to election, it's a vertical cohesion and also horizontal cohesion. Vertical cohesion talks about the place of institutions and policies from the federal to the state and to the local government dynamics. Leaders at these different levels should ensure that policies are being put forward and being followed accurately. There's a great difference between declaring a policy and enacting it, and also following it through operational dynamics of policies. So if we can go beyond just being declarative to being operational about policies, about dynamics when it comes to elections, it will be of great difference in the coming 2027 elections in Nigeria. Now, to the part of social cohesion horizontally, groups, associations in different communities across different homogeneous groups, among others, should ensure that they do not take actions that will bring unrest in their communities. And political leaders as well shouldn't enhance political unrest in their communities for any reason. If they are having signals or thoughts of losing the elections, they shouldn't deploy youth to disrupt electoral processes. Then this also brings us down to the place of individuals. As individuals, both leaders and even as citizens of Nigeria, we should not allow ourselves to be tools in the hands of the political elite to either secure their powers as incumbents or as political positions to get into office. We shouldn't allow ourselves as individuals to be used. Both academians as well, both the people who are security agents in different agencies shouldn't also allow themselves to be used also as tools during the elections against the smooth running of the elections coming.
And looking forward, what long-term reforms or strategies do you believe are necessary to strengthen both national security and democratic stability in Nigeria? You've mentioned some of the points, but then looking forward, could you just give us more points?
All right. I'm so keen on the place of early warning and early response system in Nigeria. Very, very keen on it. In 2022, President Buhari did sign the early warning framework for Nigeria, 2022, which has 4 elements in it, drawing from the protocol from ECOWAS. Let me give it a more broader dynamics. The UN did put forward that every state should have early warning systems. The UN has put that forward before, and by 2027, every state, every country should have early warning frameworks, against violent conflict. ECOWAS also has adopted this as well, including the EU as well. And Nigeria in 2022 did put that forward, and President Buhari did sign that into law. In 2023, also at the NIIA, National Institute of International Affairs, Victoria Island, Lagos, the DG there, Professor Osage, did also put up an early warning system at the NIIA. So there are these structures at the national level, national policies for early warning with the 4 elements earlier on the 4 elements. The first is to identify risks of violent conflict. The second is to monitor it. The third is to communicate among agencies, among different levels of government, security agencies, and the concern, and even government institutions as well, on any signs, any dynamics of conflict that may be coming up in the state, at local level, or even at national level. And the last is the early response dynamics. We should stop being reactive and start being proactive in these dynamics of violent conflicts with regards to security. And being proactive doesn't mean that, you begin to act upon, as security agencies, they begin to act upon things that are hearsays. But they should, as the element of early warning says, from the part of identifying problems to monitoring it and communicating appropriately the different dynamics. They should not use these dynamics just to halt things like protests and the likes that are democratically accepted, even the Constitution accepted and the like, but to look forward and look at key problems that could threaten national security, that could threaten human life and the well-being of every Nigerian, not just the elite of every Nigerian. So one dynamic is a bit of early warning and early response system well enacted. Now, beyond the national structures, there are also NGOs that are doing a lot as well on different dynamics with regards to early warning and early response system in Nigeria at the local level, at the state level, and also at national level. And these works have done a great lot in teaching local government officials on the need of early warning and early response system with regards to conflict prevention in communities. And I also would like to mention, which is one of the great things some states are doing, like Kaduna, Plateau, and Benue states. These states are conflict-prone states, and they've also put up state early warning structures, institutions to monitor conflict. And you got to think of it. Plateau has this early warning structure, but you still find killings going on, and you wonder that is it that the different agencies that are there, what are they precisely doing? It makes you ask this question clearly, but but we cannot definitely put aside the place of informal politics. As I said earlier, that the structures could be there, we could be declarative, but are we really operational in these things when it comes to security and human life? So there could be the structures there, among other things, but the part of informal politics, the part of the people, individual, because government is a set of institutions, activities, and people. The people people in government, people in governance, are they indeed there to ensure that the well-being, the welfare, the security, the advancement of human life of every Nigerian is safe, being put forward, and at the best of the interests of the people.
All right, there, Josiah Obong. Josiah has been speaking, policy analyst from Nigeria. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your knowledge with us on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Mercy. Thank you so much.
And with that, we have come to the end of today's episode of Through Africa, where I've been discussing the state of security in Nigeria and what to look out for. I am your host, Mercy Bamgbala, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay safe and goodbye.